Okay, guys, there's been a lot of controversy around genetically modified foods, or GMOs. Registered dietitian and nutritionist Courtney Ferrerira is here to give us some insights about this. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. So, GMOs, I don't even know
I know
where to start. So, what are GMOs? What is genetically modified
Okay,
foods?
we'll start there. I think that's good. So,
Yeah.
GMOs, genetically modified organisms, are basically
organisms.
That's what it stands for. So in our case, our organisms are our fruits and vegetables and our plants. So it's organisms that have used genetic engineering techniques to create a certain trait or characteristic that we want, that might not be naturally occurring in that food item.
Okay, give me some more details.
Yeah, so basically we're able to figure out a trait. So for instance, something they're working on is spinach. They're using a certain DNA from fish that helps them handle cold temperatures to help spinach survive in the cold. People freak out about this, right?
Yeah, because I'm like freaking out right now.
Yeah, but when you think about it, we share DNA with a lot of fruits and vegetables. We share DNA with bananas, with grapes, and quite a bit of it too. So it really helps us pinpoint that specific trait to get a result we want. So for instance, with corn, which is one of the very common GMO foods, it actually helps with production. So it helps have a higher yield. So it's not necessarily bad. It can really help us.
Okay, so that was my second question. So GMOs are actually not bad, or are they good? So what is your expertise on that one?
We don't have any evidence that it has any negative side effect for us. We
Really?
don't have the evidence. And there are definitely arguments against it that people have. But it's important to remember that for some of the arguments we have against, there's a lot of good it could do. So it can bring increased food supply to places that don't have as much food. Something they're working on right now is bringing anthocyanin, that's the antioxidant in blueberries, into tomatoes. So really helping to make our food more nutrient dense and help to feed our population as it grows.
Gotcha. So what are some of the top foods that fall into the GMO category?
So the top foods are corn, canola oil, sugar beets, which can be used to produce sugar,
and
zucchini,
I use this stuff.
alfalfa sprouts. And for people who are like, ooh, I never, I don't eat corn. Well, if you eat processed food, there's high fructose corn syrup in there. So a lot of our GMOs are actually present in our processed food. It's really only around 10 foods in our food supply that are truly GMO. But I want to point out, there's something called selective breeding.
Okay,
so there are all these levels, right? So we think, some people say, oh, GMO is so bad. But we have levels of it. So GMO is when maybe we use a trait, like I said, fish to spinach. Selective breeding is still done in a lab. Again, it's selective, but maybe we're using a trait from that actual fruit or vegetable. And then we have crossbreeding, which is where we intentionally breed two different plants.
Wow.
So those are all forms of modifying the genes. It's just what level are we doing it on.
Gotcha. So let's say if I wanted to cut back, can I do that?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I want everyone to just have the facts. It's up to you if you want to cut back.
Okay.
If you do want to cut back, choosing organic is your best bet. But I like to point out that, I don't want people to be scared of GMOs. There are so many other ways and so many other things we can worry about that will improve our health. Am I managing my stress? Am I sleeping? Am I eating enough leafy greens? So it's not something that people should be scared of. Think about all the other ways you can improve your diet and focus on those things.
I'm happy we're having this conversation because I'm like, oh my gosh, GMOs are gonna take over my life and they're not good for you. But actually talking to you, I realized that it's all about moderation.
It is. And it takes decades for these foods to actually get into our food supply. Again, it's only around 10 foods right now. So cut back on your processed foods. That's good for you anyway. And know where your food comes from. But there's no reason for us to freak out over this. We're still dealing with how to label it. So there's not even a consensus on that. So, there are just some other things I think we can worry about, and there is a lot of good that GMOs can do for us.
So you eat it as well?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think about them ever, because I'm more worried about, am I getting to the farmer's market and supporting my local farmer? Am I choosing organic meat whenever I can because it has a higher nutrient profile? Am I getting enough fruits and vegetables and avoiding things processed? So I put my focus in other places, and I just don't think twice about it.
Gotcha. Okay, so all about lifestyle changes.
Yes, and I did have some examples, things we focus on, right? Whole grains, nuts and seeds, leafy greens. Like, focus on the easy things. It's hard to know if you're getting GMOs anyway.
Yeah.
No need to obsess over it.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
you.
And we'll be right back, guys.